And Penske's always about the winners and the championships for sure.
Penske is a perfectionist, and again, he's proved to through many years, and in any class that he gets. And now he's about to start with Indy again with Porsche, and they've been developing the car for the last 6 or 8 months to get into the 2023 championship. And I'm sure they're going to be successful. There's no doubt. They're going to race in Europe and in America. And I'm sure that, can you believe the combination of Porsche and Penske? Well, what else can you want?
Definitely. What is racing in sports cars like?
Big difference, I would say. It's, first of all, in Indy, you have only one class. So we all like trying to get the same speed. We are not the same speed, but nowadays, anybody can win, as we can see. It's the same car, there's two engines, the rest is everything the same. So you need good engineers and good development and all that. For me, I think anybody can win. That didn't happen in nowadays. In a sports car, the big difference, you have 4 or 6 different classes. So you have really slow cars against prototypes, When you have a super fast car and you have an Acura or a Porsche 911, which is super fast, but is not as fast as a prototype. The Acuras now and, the Cadillacs and all those cars, you have to be on your mirror, or every time you're going to pass, you have to be really careful because you're passing all the time. Or if you're a slow car, they're passing you all the time. So the concentration has to be much bigger to the way I see it against, driving an IndyCar.
Yeah, definitely. What were Camel GT cars, if you remember?
Well, I drove a Porsche 962. I drove a Spice, which I think it was the best car I drove ever. It didn't have the power that, against, to be competitive against the Jaguars or the Mercedes at that time, or, the Porsche 962s. But I think it was the best suspension and made car to drive in road circuits and all that.
Okay, that's really cool. What was the reason you retired at the end of 91?
First of all, budget. I couldn't, when I got into the IndyCars, I wasn't a young kid anymore. So people were thinking that I was doing it just to have fun, and I was a rich kid that was coming to get into IndyCars and whatever. Other than I started when I was 19 in Mexico, and I drove for about 25 years before I got there. But at those times in Mexico, we didn't have the choice. There was no big racing, so we were just racing like in, like kind of family thing and something like that. So I tried to get as much as sponsors as I could get, but I was 39. Well, in 91, I was 41. I was born in 50. So people wasn't looking at me as a future race car driver, if you get me.
Yeah, I definitely get you. So what'd you do afterwards?
It's funny because I was living in San Diego, in Del Mar, which is North County. And every time I had the time and I was at home and all that, I was doing barbecues and, the family and the friends and whatever. A lot of friends from Mexico were coming to see me because I was famous, at that time. Right? So I had a lot of friends. When you're famous, you have friends. When you're not famous, you don't have friends. So they were coming to see me, and I was doing barbecues all the time, friends and whatever. And everybody was like, well, why don't you put a restaurant? You love to cook, you're having fun all the time. Well, I cook to my friends. Anyway, not to make a long story short, I ended up putting a restaurant, a small restaurant with only 6 tables. I ended up with 75 tables, 350 people capacity. Then I opened another one, then a third one. And I got involved into the restaurant business, 24/7, much tougher than racing.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. That's really cool, man. So, what are your hopes for the future?
Well, at the moment, the hope for the future and all that is just, to see, the sons of my best friends and all that being in racing, like uh, in Formula One, we have, uh, what's his name? Checo Perez. That's the son of a friend that I raced for 20 years, the father and I raced in Mexico. Adrian, I raced with his uncles. So what I love to see at the moment and all that is to see all this. Mexico grew up so much into racing, much better. The kids have a chance to have a future in racing. We have Pato Ward. I think he qualified today on pole. For the race tomorrow. So there is much more chances for the Mexican drivers than what we had, which is great. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. I hope that more foreign drivers and more Mexican drivers get a chance, just like American drivers, because diversity is very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's all I have for now, but thank you for sharing your journey.
Well, you're more than welcome, and I will see you in the future.
Thank you, and keep up the good work.